But what they do, what this document primarily does is what I feel it does is it gets law enforcement to be on alert against people that may share the same views of these supposed extremists. It says, you are the enemy. And of course, this was disseminated throughout the entire state of Missouri to every single law enforcement agency. The militia subscribes to an anti-government, anti-New World Order mindset, which creates a threat to law enforcement officers. They view the military, National Guard, and law enforcement as a force that will confiscate their firearms and place them in FEMA concentration camps. Whoa. So what it's doing is really freaking out the law enforcement, putting them on alert to be aware of people that may or may not subscribe to this political philosophy. Here's the scary part. They go on to say common malicious symbols, political and anti-government rhetoric. And here's where this all boils down, and we better not see a document coming out of the Austin Regional Intelligence Center like this. It says political paraphernalia. Bear in mind, they just said this is what you need to be afraid of. These people think you're going to put them in FEMA concentration camps. Be aware of these people. Militia members most commonly associate with third-party political groups. It is not uncommon for militia members to display Constitutional Party, Campaign for Liberty, or libertarian material. These members are usually supporters of former presidential candidate Ron Paul, Chuck Baldwin, and Bob Barr. I have a Ron Paul bumper sticker on my vehicle, and I can guarantee you I'm no threat to the establishment. Again, I don't even own a weapon. But what this does, these documents, whenever somebody gets pulled over, it puts that idea instantly in the law enforcement's head that, wow, this person may be a threat to me. Perhaps they have an AK-47 in the back of their trunk. Maybe I should treat them differently than I would have had I not read this document. So here we have the 2009 Virginia Terrorism Threat Assessment. Laura Martin of the ACLU alluded to this earlier, but she left out something that's pretty telling. This is an overview from Division 1 in Virginia. Terrorist extremist group presence. They say 2 area universities are designated as historically black colleges and universities. While the majority of individuals associated with educational institutions do not engage in activities of interest, it is important to note that the university-based student groups are recognized as a radicalization node for almost every type of extremist group. So there you go. Historically black colleges and universities are on the page, are on alert with the Fusion Center apparatus. I would hate to see the Austin Regional Intelligence Center label the Houston-Tilliston College as a node for radicalization. It's happening all over the country. Finally, and again, Laura Martin alluded to this earlier, the North Central Texas Fusion Center right up the road in Collin County, they are labeling anti-war activists as people that should be noticed. The international... what's it called? Some Council on International Relations in the United States, including one of the main anti-war and anti-Israel protest movements in the U.S. called Answer, Act Now to Stop War and End Racism. Oh no, they're terrorists. Law enforcement should be aware of activities in the area. Given the stated objective of these lobbying groups and the secret activities of radical Islamic organizations, see how they're tying together radical Islamic terrorists in a faraway land with anti-war peace movements here in Central Texas, saying that this fusion center, that law enforcement, that the chief of police, that everybody should be aware of this and watch it. It is imperative for law enforcement officers to report these types of activities to identify potential underlying trends emerging in North Central Texas region. So there you go. If there's an anti-war protest, you can bet your bottom dollar that it will be reported to the Fusion Center apparatus. Now, again, the Fusion Center was originally intended to stop terrorism, to fight terrorism, but now we see in the 12 tenets to prevent crime and terrorism from the Major Cities Chiefs Association, which Chief Acevedo signed on to, it says the Fusion Center should address all crimes, include the widest range, again, the widest range of information available and fully integrated into the daily operations of major metropolitan police agencies. So here you're asking about the private sector, Councilmember Morrison. Here's Appendix C of the Fusion Center documents. It's 6 pages. They say this should by no means be exhaustive. Here's some of the things that they recommend including in the Fusion Center for analysis and dissemination to the federal government. Banking and finance records. Banking companies, investment companies, credit card companies, credit report companies. We can include people's credit score in the Fusion Center. That's a great idea. Education. We can get into daycare centers, preschools, colleges and universities. Energy. This is where the city of Austin will come in. You'll probably have to report. This also, this just popped in my head, will tie in with the point of sale ordinance. Everybody's information that will be put into this database will be collected by the Fusion Center, analyzed and disseminated to the federal government. Health and public health services. Well, time's up. So that ties in with the health bill that's coming in. All the information is going to be collected and disseminated to this Fusion Center. So in closing, I urge you to please don't just rubber stamp this. Obviously, the debate has not been fully hashed out, we're going to need some major, major oversight, and I want to see this fusion center have glass walls, be the most transparent and accountable in the entire city. But we, the citizens, shouldn't have to do all this. We call
Thank you, Mr. Bush.
Thank you.
Time has expired. Councilmember Morrison.
I'm sorry, Mayor, are we through with the speakers?
Those are all the speakers.
Okay. I thank everybody for their comments. Oh, I think we might have another speaker.
These are all the speakers on my list. If you would like to speak, just come forward and announce your name, and you'll have 3 minutes.